Man, I need your help. I mean, I'm having a problem in life at the moment, and it's something I can't imagine anyone else has ever dealt with. It's something that, I mean, it's properly end of the world level stuff here. I mean, I need your help, man.
What is it, Sean? What's wrong?
Well, you see, I can't pick a new ringtone from my phone.
Seriously, that's your problem? That's a first world issue. There are people out there that go through a lot worse than picking a bloody ringtone.
Such as?
For example, there are people that live in the middle of war zones. They could be bombed or shot at any moment.
Ah, what about this one? Catchy?
Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. When I first started becoming obsessed with animated films, I spoke to my dad about which cartoon movies he loved. He introduced me to When the Wind Blows, a little gem that blew me away. However, it's been a long time since I first saw this movie, so the question is it as good as I remember it to be? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's take a closer look at it. When the Wind Blows is a British animated war film based on the controversial graphic novel by Raymond Briggs, author of The Snowman. It's set in an English countryside house during the Cold War. The story follows the characters of Jim and Hilda, a sweet elderly husband and wife. When news breaks out that England is going to be potentially bombed, Jim builds a shelter and the couple prepare for a nuclear strike. Unfortunately, time runs out and suddenly their house is hit by a nuclear explosion. Jim and Hilda survive, but it's not over by a long shot. They now have to try to live in their broken home while being completely exposed to the radioactive fallout. Before I express my opinion on this film, I must let viewers know that I have not read the original Raymond Briggs book, but I am interested in it. Okay, let's talk about the movie itself. I think that this is a chilling, haunting, and thought-provoking movie. Its intention during its release was to criticize the use of radioactive weapons on innocent citizens. It wanted to show the devastating effects nuclear missiles can have on everyday people caught in the middle of war. It does this by making the audience feel sorry for these victims of a nuclear attack. I have to say that the strongest aspect of the movie is its characters and their relationship. Jim and Hilda are so sweet and charming. While watching this film, I couldn't help but sympathize with them, connect to them, and put myself in their position. They're not stupid people, not at all. They're just naive and ignorant to the danger that's confronting their lives. You see, they grew up in World War II, so a bomb strike is a casual problem for them. But they aren't fully educated about the hazardous effects of a nuclear missile. Like I said, Jim and Hilda are very naive. They patriotically trust their government and rely on their assumptions to survive. They're not idiots, they just feel as if that the government has earned their trust because of all the help they gave during World War II. This makes them very vulnerable because they will do anything that the government asks them to do. What about Jim and Hilda's relationship? Well, I think that their romance is very convincing because they seem like they've genuinely been married for decades. Even though they argue a lot, you can tell that they respect each other and that their love has retained its strength over the years. What makes me think this? Well, throughout the movie they share tender and affectionate moments together that are adorable to watch and help the audience believe in their love. One thing I love about this film is the atmosphere that it creates. Unlike other apocalyptic or dystopian-themed films, we never get to witness any media coverage. This generates an unnerving mystery around what's happening in the world outside our character's home. So we don't know who has survived, we don't know if the authorities are doing anything, and we don't know if help is on the way. Accompanied by striking images of destruction, carnage, and grim fog, the film generates a sense of misery that fuels doubt within the audience. I believe that this atmosphere is effective because it makes us feel more for the characters and believe that all hope is most likely lost. However, this film is also very funny at times. I'm not even kidding. There's plenty of comic relief moments to soften the film's depressing tone. What makes the film funny sometimes are the hilarious, nonsensical arguments between our characters. They squabble about silly things that only old married couples tend to quarrel about. I believe that the film's humour lies in the characters themselves because they're so delightfully charming that you can't help but chuckle at them. Jim is sensible, practical, formal, and high-spirited. His boisterous personality and eccentric energy make him incredibly likable because he has so much tenacity and willpower. He keeps his head held up high no matter how the fallout affects him. He often tries to let his assurance bounce off onto Hilda by calming her down as their bodies begin falling apart. You can tell that he adores Hilda and cares dearly about her because he doesn't want her to be scared or hurt. While Jim may be the more forward-thinking one, Hilda is quite the opposite. She is more concerned about the state of her house than a nuclear bomb. Her relaxed attitude and wide-eyed innocence make her very appealing because I found her to be so lovely, calm and cheerful. It's incredibly heartbreaking watching her lose her will and health as the fallout weakens her body because I grew to love her like a nanny or a grandma. I think that the visual style of When the Wind Blows is very unique. The hand-drawn animated characters, which are based on Raymond Briggs illustrations, have cherubic round faces and portly bodies. These physical traits make them look cute and innocent, which made me very sympathetic towards them while they were dying because they look so adorable. These animated characters may have oversimplistic facial expressions because of their designs, but their emotions are still readable and varied. In addition, their body movements flow nicely with a convincingly human behavior. I mean, they look very alive thanks to the fluid, well-paced motion of their faces and bodies. They're not obnoxiously over-animated, and they also don't look wooden or lifeless. What's interesting is that these hand-drawn animated characters were imposed over footage of miniature sets. To be honest, the characters blend brilliantly with the little handcrafted backgrounds because they both have the same handmade feel to them. The characters also look like they genuinely live in these sets because they don't look poorly imposed on their backgrounds. They fit nicely with the miniature sets thanks to decent cropping. Jim is voiced by John Mills, and Hilda is voiced by Peggy Ashcroft, a pair of Academy Award-winning English actors. Both performers do fantastic jobs in their roles because they sound organic, natural, and alive. They treat their roles like any other acting job, and this is reflected in their voices because they sound like they're taking the script seriously. Instead of putting on silly or wacky cartoon voices, which would have been irrelevant or out of place for a film like this, Mills and Ashcroft treat their roles as believable human characters. In addition, they actually shared a recording booth when they performed their voices, and you can tell because a strong, realistic chemistry can be heard between both voice artists. I believe that Mills and Ashcroft are one of the major driving forces behind this movie because they bring the two main characters vividly to life and they make their conversations sound very engaging. This film's music score was composed by Roger Waters, one of the members of the legendary rock band Pink Floyd. I believe that Waters' score is eerie and unsettling. I think that its ominous dark ambience makes the film's depressing tone, apocalyptic setting, and tragic misery twice as more effective. Why? Well, it creates a disturbing series of instrumental pieces that cause me to feel uncomfortable and sick. Waters' music for this movie is sad, frightening, and highly emotional. It provokes me so much because it's quite scary. It's almost as creepy as Wendy Carlos's music for The Shining. The film also features an original theme song by the iconic chameleon rock star David Bowie. This theme song, which plays at the beginning of the movie, is a powerful rock ballad with heavy pounding drums. It sounds very epic and grand, which sets the sentimental scale of the film ahead. It lets the audience know that they're in for a roller coaster ride of emotions. To conclude, When the Wind Blows uses charming characters to tell a powerful story full of sweet humour and chilling horror. I believe that it's a benchmark of British animated film, and I'm going to give it 5 nuclear stars out of 5. Now, if some of you are still wondering whether this film is your cup of tea, then consider this. If you were moved by such animated war films as Grave of the Fireflies and Barefoot Gem, then you'll certainly be moved by When the Wind Blows too. I've been Jambareeqi, and I hope that you enjoyed my review. Feel free to subscribe to my channel to check out similar videos. Now, if I was... That's a war siren! That means that a bomb's going to be dropped on my student accommodation any minute! What do I do? I don't want to die!
Hey, Jambareeqi, I sorted out my ringtone problem. It's a war siren. Jambareeqi?